It's kind of intro music. We'll give folks a couple minutes to pop in. We're just getting ready to go and do our thing. What are we doing today? Well, we're doing what we do every day when we're live. It's answering your traffic and police questions. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. And I go live on the internet. I do. Monday to Friday for an hour. It's a thing. And it really is fantastic. It gives us a unique ability to connect with you, answering questions that are important to you. It's really an entire show all about you, which I don't think anybody else is doing. A show about you? There's a show about nothing. That was Seinfeld. We know how that went. It's off the air. I mean, it was pretty successful when it was there, but it's not there now. We're still here, though, and we'll do this as long as we can. While we're preparing, let's get into the little update about traffic services and our Vision Zero enforcement team. I like to talk about that as we start the day off every day. But today being the 13th, 13th all day of June, the Vision Zero enforcement team is made up of I think it's 18, or maybe we've got more officers on the road. In any case, there's a whole bunch of specialized officers who go out and introduce themselves to traffic violators. They do that, and at the end of the introduction, they even leave them with a calling card in the form of a ticket. No hugs are given. It's all about tickets. It's all about changing driver behavior. A lot of folks say this is about cash, about making money for the man. The police service doesn't get paid from this. We don't make money from writing tickets. We try and make the road safer for everybody through, in changing behavior. And how do you get someone to change their behavior? You give them a not so nice ticket. The ticket is not so nice feeling anyway. I think it's actually saving their lives. It might save their lives. Get a ticket for not wearing your seatbelt. Maybe you'll wear it next time. Who knows? Where are they today? Well, they're in 52 Division and 41 Division. Those are the communities and neighborhoods of Kensington, Chinatown, Bay Street Corridor, Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchcliff, Cliffside. These are areas that these two police divisions service. And, they're doing work in addition to what's already being done. They don't replace the officers there. There's great officers doing work every day in those divisions. Our officers from Vision Zero enforcement team are just augmenting the already good work being done. And, this is all about, again, driver behavior. It's people who choose to engage in speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, or impaired driving. All of those things are behaviors that are known to lead to serious injury and death on our roads. We're going to try and make a change. If you're just jumping in, if you've never heard of us before, if you've never seen our channel on TikTok or YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram Live, follow us. If you don't follow us already, please follow us. You'll stay in touch with us. You'll hear about new stuff we do drop. When new videos drop, you'll get notified. And we are constantly creating content for you to enjoy and to serve you. It's all about creating information that you can use to make your life better, your driving career better. And I say driving career because it is a career. Once you're licensed, it's a lifetime of driving. Okay. We got Akela Draconis. Haven't seen you in a while, my friend. Greetings and salutations. I'm back, but I hurt my back in a fishing accident. How does one get hurt in a fishing accident? But I'm sure you have a good story to go with that. But I hope you're feeling better and that you'll be back to fishing in no time. Pro Football Craze, good morning, coming in from Twitch. And Caitlin is coming in from YouTube. Good morning and happy Monday. It is a happy Monday. Every day is a happy day as long as we're able to walk around and be in one piece. It's a pretty big plus. Okay, as I'm scrolling through because Q&A is still broken, I saw, what's the point of this live? Well, being that I'm a police officer and I am here to educate and help answer your questions, even about what the point of this live is, it's that you get to ask questions and we get to have a conversation about it. So why do we do this? We do this so we can engage and connect and help you out, because we don't want you getting tickets, but we also don't want you doing what you would do to get a ticket. So you have to know what the laws are, and then you can choose not to follow them or choose to follow them. Obviously, that's choice. We don't change the choice part. We do enforce the law. So if you choose to break the law, you're going to get a ticket. And if I can prevent you from breaking the law by letting you know what those are so you don't make those mistakes, do it by accident, then that's a bonus. Okay, what do we got here? Laws on motorcycle group riding peg to peg. Peg to peg? You mean side by side? Police do it all the time. It's something we do. We ride together. It's not something that is specifically illegal or not illegal. Just many riders don't know what they're doing, and it's not a good idea. At the end of the day, you should stagger for safety, giving you enough room to move. And I'm not saying that all drivers or riders are good or bad. There's just differences in skill level. And I can tell you, as we train for this, actively train for it, like in slow speed riding, someone zigs when they should have zagged, and people fall down and get hurt. It's bad. Let's see here. Bought a new car and they told me you don't give stickers. Is this true? Yes. If you bought a truck and you are under the 3,000 kilogram mark, if you are not a commercial motor vehicle, so you're a light truck or passenger vehicle or motorcycle, you no longer have to have a sticker on there. Now, you still have to renew your license plate. That happens for free online. You go onto the ministry website, renew by entering in your data. That's your license plate, the serial number on your permit, and then you give up your mileage, and you're pretty much done. At that point, you are in the business of renewing, and that renewal, you can also sign up for reminders when to renew your health card, your driver's license, your license plate. You got to keep doing it, or you'll get a ticket for not having an up-to-date and valid insurance permit, license plate. Okay. Can you get a ticket for a factory exhaust? If it's not there, you can get a ticket. You can also get a ticket for unnecessary noise, or if you've modified your factory exhaust by taking out, let's say, baffles or the contents of your muffler. You have to have a muffler. It has to be doing its job. So yes, and at the end of the day, the unnecessary noise, it tends to be, well, behavior. If you're driving like I want to say a weenie, but if you're revving and causing all sorts of unnecessary noise, or you have a defect in your exhaust system that makes it not function properly, then you could get a ticket with a stock pipe. But if you obviously take your pipe off, you take your exhaust and you're running a straight pipe, or you put aftermarket that doesn't meet the requirements, then you can also get ticketed for various things. What do we have here? Are amber color fog lights allowed? Yes, amber colored fog lights are permitted. The only colors you can project forward at over 300 lumens are going to be your headlights or fog lights in either white or yellow/amber. Hydration is key. Let's see here. Joshua McDonald says, what's your favorite sport and what team? My favorite sport is actually competitive firearms. And that's not against one another. It's IPSC, International Practical Shooting Confederation style. It's not. Maybe it's not considered sports to some people, but I like marksmanship. So there's no team there that I'm aware of, but I do like competing in that. In terms of organized sports, I don't follow organized sports. I like to play sports. Let's see here. Caitlin says, is it true that having side mirrors isn't mandatory? For example, Jeeps that take their doors off. Settle an argument between my husband and I. Well, Caitlin, I hope I get to settle it in your favor, but I cannot guarantee that. I will spill the truth right now. And the truth is you have to have a minimum of one clear view to the rear by way of mirror or similar device. In other words, a rear view mirror attached to your windshield is the only mirror that you must have. As long as that view isn't obstructed, then you don't need to have mirrors on your doors. Now, I used to own a Jeep. I bought a mirror relocation kit that took it off of the door mounts and put those door mounts onto the window. The folding window then carried the windows, or the mirrors, I should say. And also, if you look at new vehicles like the Bronco from Ford, they have removable doors, and they don't mount the mirrors to the doors for that very reason. Now, just because it's not a legal requirement to have more than one mirror, it's still the best thing to do. You want to see more. The more you have, the more you can see, the better it is for you. Tommy C says, morning, happy Monday, everybody. Well, happy Monday, Tommy C. You have a quick question? Let me see what you got here. I saw this last night around 2 a.m. at an intersection waiting for the green. I saw an electric scooter ran a red and the red light camera didn't go off. Can the red light camera catch that? So an electric scooter or an e-bike may not have enough mass to trigger the sensors that track the speed of that vehicle. It's possible that an e-bike or an e-kick scooter or bicycle may not get caught on red light cameras. That's going to be depending on the hardware and how it's configured. But you know what? Those are cyclists, or in some cases considered riding motor vehicles. They have to catch them, but it's always better when we catch them because then we give them tickets that have more of an impact. I'm all for electronic enforcement. I think it's great to try and dissuade people from breaking the law, and of course, it does, hit them in the wallet when they get caught. However, nothing beats a police officer stopping someone and charging them and having that conversation. It's better than simply a ticket. It's an educational opportunity. Jesse and Anthony. There we go. Good morning, all. Good morning to you. Do you watch basketball? I do not. I don't have any. I'm a dad of two very busy young ladies. They don't care for basketball, and B, I have no time. I have seen basketball. I went to one of the very first Raptors games, whenever that was. And Tommy C., you're very welcome. I got a ticket for going 140 in a 100 kilometer an hour road. What should I do? Well, if you were doing 140 kilometers an hour, then you're guilty of doing 40 kilometers over, and you should probably pay your ticket. If you're not guilty and can provide some evidence to that regard, then you have the right to challenge the ticket. That's up to you. But if you're guilty, then why waste the court's time and taxpayer money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see here. Can we have an authorization allowing us to go to work with a probationary license? Well, a probationary license is a G2, and a G2 does allow you to drive alone. If you're talking about a learner's permit, a G1, you must have a driver who is supervising you. That driver has to be a qualified G. They have to have 4 years experience, and they have to be sitting in the seat beside you. So there's no exemption or authorization that would allow a G1 to drive alone. Just not going to happen. Okay. Ticket fund the municipality partially? No. Questions about where the money goes. So money from provincial offenses tickets, they're provincial offenses. They go to the province. If in some way, shape, or form it trickles down and goes to the municipality, I don't believe it goes as a direct, like you wrote more tickets so the municipality gets more money. It's the money goes into a pool, and the pool goes to fund everybody in the province. But there's no direct reward for writing more tickets in a municipality that I'm aware of. Granted, there's also a portion of the money that comes in. There's a ticket or a fine, and then a percentage called the victim fine surcharge that is above and beyond, and that goes to actually a fund for victims of crime. So if you were assaulted, you could apply to this fund and possibly be provided with some money. If they broke your leg, they hurt you, they did something, you might be able to qualify for some money out of this victim fine surcharge. I think it's a great thing because no one should be assaulted, no one should be, the victim of crime. Hey, if you're new to the channel, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service, and this is what we do for an hour a day, Monday to Friday. We answer your traffic and police questions, and this is something that is new. It kind of came in during COVID, and it allows us to connect with our community and answer questions that need to be answered and explain things that need to be explained, because there's confusion. It's the law. Law's never fun. It's not something that everyone's expected to understand. So that's what we're here for. And I heard a rumor that Sergeant Campbell might be joining us. Actually, I just saw footsteps approaching, so I know it to be true. He's just putting on some headphones, and we'll have him join us. Yeah, and then we will both be answering questions. Very exciting, very exciting. And I saw a shalom somewhere in the chat, and shalom to you. My ninim. Let's see here.
Good morning, Sean.
Oh, let me put the mic up. There we go. You got a microphone now?
Good morning, Sean.
Good
How are you?
morning. I'm doing all right. I despite having done more, I did a few extra steps going up and down the staircase this morning. But besides that, everything's good.
Well, steps are good. Steps are healthy.
Steps are good. Question of, would you recommend dash cams? I can't recommend a particular brand, but I absolutely recommend the use of dash cams, providing that independent recollection or a record of an event. You know, when we investigate collisions, we get statements from people, but video, that's fantastic.
I can tell you by personal experience, it has actually saved me from having to pay my deductible on my insurance when somebody backed into me. The dash cam showed clearly what happened, and after they saw that, it was fully covered.
Yes, it does this, because there's the they said, where two people who have different takes, and truly, I grew up with this concept. There's three truths: my truth, your truth, and the truth. Or there's one that's actually what happened, but everyone adds perception. I was driving well, things. That video is an independent and trustworthy copy. Obviously, some bad players might try and edit it, but timestamps are amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And ones with GPS in there that shows your speed and if you're come to a complete stop or not, they're fantastic.
Yes.
Highly recommend, and all my personal vehicles have them.
I will not drive without one. I don't want to do it. There was a question here. Do you guys pull over slammed cars a lot? So slammed cars, those lowered vehicles, yeah, we do, because the ones that are lowered too much are unsafe, and we are always looking for vehicles that are violating the law. It's all about safety, keeping people safe on the road, and that's not only you in the car that's slammed, but everyone else who might be affected by you becoming involved in a collision, pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, everybody. It's a community space, this road that we're on, and you have to follow the rules. So absolutely, we do pull over vehicles that are modified in such a way that they might be unsafe or illegal. Big Jeff Fresh throws in that he loves this show. It's one of his favorite hours of the day, and we know this to be true because he's here almost every day. And thank you for being a part of what we do here. All right. Best way to study for the police aptitude test. Actually, it's an interesting question. We had if you haven't checked it out already, you can go watch a replay of the hour that we spent with our recruiting friends, our friends from the talent acquisition unit, and we talked about getting ready. But something that I can tell you about what I did to get ready for the aptitude testing, because I've been out of school for a long time, and when I just started with the police service, I'd been out of school for a long time. So getting used to basic math, basic spelling and grammar, things to practice. I got grade 7 and 8 books and just went through them and worked on speed because it's a time test, so speed matters. So that's something. Sarge, did you do anything in particular when you were preparing for testing?
Well, I can tell you, back when I joined, there was testing, but it wasn't as, how do you say, as structured or prepared as what it is now. Back then, your aptitude was your aptitude. That's just, it told you who you were and what your brain worked like and what you thought and how you worked out things. So I know there are some resources out there. Use the internet. Google it. There are Canadian-specific books I know that are
I
available.
bought one. I think it was Police Prep. It was one of the books I bought, and that helped me study. There was actually a website that offered the same thing with practice exams. There's tons of things. It's not terribly expensive, but anything you can do to train the brain and keep yourself working at improving are good things. You can't hurt, even if it's not, you're not going to get the answers to a test, but just going through the motions and using your brain, anything you can do will help you. And that'll also give you an idea of where you stand. But also talk to the wonderful folks at our employment unit, and they will help support you. They may have good recommendations. You can find out more about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service by visiting www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. And again, great information there. Go to our website. You can get it at tps.ca or again, torontopolice.on.ca. Hit careers and check it out. Lots of information there. And we're not just hiring police officers, we're hiring parking enforcement officers, special constables, all sorts of different positions that make up opportunities within our service. Is there a ticket quota for cops to get to? We seem to get this question almost daily. What do you think, Sarge?
No, and there's no toaster at the end of the month if you're the winner. So, you know what? Our goal is out there to make things safer for everybody. As a supervisor, I expect the police officers that are out there are going to put a good, honest day's work in. We work in traffic, so traffic enforcement is a portion of it. And it all depends on what you're doing. So if you have downtime, I expect them out to be out there, visible, and making our roads safer. So I do expect them to be writing tickets.
You can't have coffee all day. If there's nothing going on, you got to find something to do. And tickets writing and keeping our roads safe is a great way to do it. Question about tickets. Do tickets stay on your record forever? So tickets or convictions stay on your record for 3 years from the date of conviction, and the points associated with those stay on your record for 2 years from the date of offense, 2 different time frames for either. And very often we're asked about warnings. If we issue a printed warning, those actually stay in our system so we can see them. That way, if we give you a warning and then next week we pull you over again, we'll see that it happened and you won't get another warning, at least not if I see it. Let's see here. We got Jeremy Peters says, good morning, Sean. Good morning to you. And why are vehicle upgrades illegal if it's safer and better than OEM? Well, vehicle upgrades aren't illegal by making them an upgrade. It depends on what that upgrade is. And there's regulations that dictate what's permitted and what's not. So if this might be related to a conversation I was having in chat yesterday on our Lamborghini video, seatbelts and racing harnesses. Racing harnesses may be interpreted as safer because there's more of it, but it's not what's considered safe for the vehicle. It's not legal for the road. And just putting more straps in may or may not be installed correctly. There's a number of things. And if you take out the OEM, the factory seatbelt, A, it's illegal just to remove it, and B, if you're not wearing it, you're not wearing a seatbelt according to the Highway Traffic Act. Anything you'd throw onto there, Sarge?
No, and in fact, I have quite a few vehicles and I modify them as well, but I always do it safely and within what's allowed, within the allowable parameters. There's an awful lot of people that don't do that, or do it on the cheap, or do it on the unlawful, and those are the ones that we're looking at out there.
Evil Sloth dropped into the room late and says, what does he have in every car? And the answer is a dash cam. Dash cam for the win. Okay. E-bike youth passenger law versus normal bike passenger law. Why are they different? So e-bikes have specific rules and regulations as to their use, whereas bicycle, are you talking about bicycle or motorcycle? Because really an e-bike is a motor vehicle, although permitted to do certain things under the Highway Traffic Act because it conforms to a set of rules. So I want to talk to you and answer your e-bike question, but I want to know specifically what you're asking. Maybe it's about the age of passengers because you have to be 16 to be on an e-bike. Whereas on a bicycle, you can have someone who's under the age of 16. But let's dig into it. Is it Bopthor? Come back with some more information. We'll chat some more. What is this? Followed the host. Is it difficult to join a tactical unit? I've never tried. I don't think tactical's for me, but it is. My specialty is traffic. That's why I'm here at Traffic Services. But tactical units require you to be a member of the service, qualified in every way, shape, and form as a first-class police officer with who's a officer generalist. Is that a constable, general constable? What is the proper terminology?
Yeah, I think you're right. A generalist constable.
Generalist constable. Yeah. Terminology we don't usually use, but it's the actual terminology. There we go. So you have to be that first. Then you have to apply. You'd have to get through some, I believe, some interviews and some resume review, and then you might get into a qualifier course. And this is just based on having followed my friend through it. He went and applied and is now a member of the ETF. And it's a very competitive process. Not only do you have to do well in the course where everyone sort of looks at you and decides or evaluates who you are and what you are. And then once you're through that, they might select you and you might get onto a team. So it is very, very difficult and competitive to get onto those.
You have to have a very specific physical skill set and a mental skill set to be a member there.
Yeah.
Very disciplined, very, very smart, and you know what, can react quickly or can react slowly enough to take in the whole situation. So
it's a lot more going on to the ETF than what you see in the movies. You know, the SWAT, it's not just guys rolling in with guns and getting into a big shootout. They do a lot of different things, and very often they get there after a lot has been locked down. It's not as you might think from watching movies, although I do enjoy the movies. Okay, let's see here. Tommy C says, can you clarify the jurisdiction that TPS and OPP cover on the highway? I see TPS covers south of DVP and Gardner, while OPP is on other highway systems. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So first of all, the City of Toronto is, the DVP and Gardner are city highways. They are not the 400 series, which are the responsibility of the OPP. Now, we still have the ability to act on those highways because we're police officers for the entire province of Ontario, and sometimes we'll help out if we're close by. But generally speaking, we focus on the DVP. And how far north? To Steeles? Because that's still inside of our borders?
yeah, so we don't do any 400 series highways. We can. We're just not paid to cover that. So I've seen OPP officers down here with cars pulled over. Not a problem at all. We're the ones that are getting money to patrol it and to respond to emergencies on it. But like you said, we're good anywhere in the province, anytime.
Absolutely. So when calls are, if it's a collision, chances are it's going to be issued to the jurisdiction that it's in. So if it's a 400 series highway, that's going to be an OPP call. And if it's in the City of Toronto, it'll be ours. But if we're close by, we're going to help out. You know, we're still going to attend things, although it may eventually be handed off. But great question, Tommy. Thanks for asking it.
So just to answer that, 400 series highways and the QEW.
And the QEW. What is this? Question was, can you be given a DUI if you blow below 80? So impaired driving doesn't require you to be over a certain amount. You can be impaired at a lower number. So yes, you can, but you wouldn't be charged for the charge of 80 or over. There's a specific charge for having the blood alcohol content of that number or above, and there's another charge just as simply called impaired driving, and you could be impaired with less than 80.
Two separate charges, two separate elements, and you could get one or both of those charges depending on the circumstances.
Here's one about speed enforcement. Hey man, the cop denied me the radar check and denied me a sergeant. Is that allowed? So if you're pulled over and you want to see the radar gun or the readout, it's not a requirement in Ontario to show it to you. Now, very often our officers will do that if they have a handheld device and they're at the side of the road and it's safe to do so. But if I use my in-car radar device and it would require you to get out of your car to get into my car to look at it. Well, a couple of things happen. One, we have had COVID for the last couple of years, and so exchanging spaces races is not something that we do, but just getting you out of your car on the highway is dangerous, and we don't want to put you at risk. But again, not required. If we can accommodate you, we generally do. And denying you a sergeant, is that allowed? Sarge?
Well, you know what? We're popular people, but no, a police officer's there unless there's a serious concern. You always have the option to take your ticket to court. So that is the forum where you can dispute a ticket.
And if you were really unhappy with an officer, you do have a way of complaining. You can go to a police station, or you can call the OIPRD, or there's other avenues. But sitting at the side of the road demanding an officer attend isn't necessarily the best way to go.
Right, and it's not always feasible. So there are other options for that. The OIPRD is the Office of the Independent Police Review Director, I believe.
Thank you for de-acronyming my
Just so everybody knows, and you can look them up online, and you can submit complaints about any police officer or any police service at any time.
That was Aaron making an appearance. She'll be back. Do we need to still renew our license plate stickers? That's the question from user, a bunch of numbers. You got to come up with a username better than user 52877. Anyway, so do you need to renew? Yes, you do need to renew, but there's no fee for most vehicles. Now, if your vehicle is over 3,000 kilos or is a commercial vehicle or falls into different categories, it might require fees. However, that many of them don't require it. You just need to go online and renew. That's where you disclose your. One second here. We're making adjustments. Yeah, it's where you disclose your mileage. You put in some information, and then you're good to go. It's a pretty easy way to do it. I did it for my dad already. I really need to do it for myself as well. Okay. What's the difference between RCMP peace officers and police officers? Well, so every police officer is a peace officer, but not every peace officer is a police officer. I think that's the easiest way to describe it in a muddy kind of way. By the way, Sergeant Kulik, welcome.
Good morning.
How goes it?
Excellent, thank you. Glad to be here.
We're talking about RCMP peace officers and police officers, and we're not the RCMP, so speaking to what their organizational setup isn't really our place to do it. They may have things different in their province, but we have special constables and we have police officers, and they are different. Our special constables don't have police powers. They have limited police powers. They have more than that of a citizen, but less than that of a police officer. I don't know if getting into the nitty gritty of how they're different is helpful, but they're not the same thing. Our special constables do not carry firearms, while our police officers do. So if you need more information, by all means, we can talk more about it. But our duties are different: peace officers to police officers, or special constables to police officers. My 15-year-old daughter wants to join the police force. Excellent, and we would love to have her join when she's 18 or higher, which is the minimum age to actually join the police service. And we are hiring, because Rahul wants to know, we are hiring police officers, and I believe we have a class of parking enforcement officers that are going to post shortly.
Yeah, and come on in, look at the website, and we're looking for a lot of diversity to represent our communities, but especially, you said your daughter's interested coming from a female perspective. We need representation as well, and, everybody deals with each call differently, and it's important to have that representation. So tell her to keep following her dreams, get some volunteer work in, and
volunteering is huge, and you can volunteer for police service before you're 18, depending on the capacity. We even have YIPPIES, the Youth in Policing Initiative. That's another thing. There's all sorts of opportunities, but check out our website, www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. Get all the information you can and continue education. This is a competitive process, so let your daughter know that good grades matter, volunteerism matters. Abrar Motala says, what happens if I'm driving my parents' car and gets pulled over and I'm not on the insurance, but parents are? So from a policing perspective, the vehicle is what is insured, not the driver. If you're borrowing somebody's car, you can do that on occasion. Now, insurance companies often want you to pay as a occasional driver if you're a resident with the owner of the house, if you live in the same place. As a police officer, I probably would never know that if I pulled you over, because I'm not seeing the details of your insurance policy. But if you were involved in a collision, they could deny that claim. They could have a problem with that. So you're best to have yourself added to an insurance policy if you live with your parents. And if you're simply borrowing the car, that may not be necessary. Anything to add on that? What do you think?
No, it's insurance is a funny thing. It's run by private industry. They make up their own rules. They have a set of guidelines they have to follow, but they make up their own rules, and each policy is different. So if you're driving your parents' vehicle, hopefully you have permission to drive it. Your parents are aware of it. If you
Permission's a big thing.
if you don't, that's another issue that it could turn kind of criminal that way. But you need to have the vehicle insured, and that only covers third-party liability.
Yes. We have an interesting question. As law enforcement, we can do better than finding the innocent motoring public. Let's take criminals. So, Nate, this is a great question because a lot of this discussion came up yesterday when or over the weekend as we talked about a cameraman hanging out of the window of a motor vehicle while it was, heading south on the Don Valley Parkway, taking pictures of a Lamborghini. So, is it a big deal? Is you not wearing your seatbelt or speeding or running a red light a big deal? Well, yeah, because you could get hurt, somebody else could get hurt. There's more than just writing a ticket. The idea of tickets, the idea of charging someone is to change their behavior. And I was actually really shocked at how many people says, come on, he's just trying to get some cool pictures. What's the big deal? He's not hurting anybody. But what if he was involved in a collision and flew out that window because he was halfway out already? And then people had to be dispatched and emergency vehicles were taken off of availability to go respond to his call. And then somebody else who was sitting properly needed a paramedic and they weren't available because they were picking pieces of this guy out of the trees. Like, there's so many different things that people don't take into consideration when they have a harmless crime. And listen, I'm not saying that there aren't more serious things. There are serious things. I would take speed over a seatbelt and stunt over 10 kilometers over, and I've got my own hierarchy of enforcement. But it's still important.
You know what? He's not hurting anybody until he is. And you don't know if he is until he does it. So,
yeah, and I'm pretty even keel. I want to enforce all of the laws. I don't want to pick and choose. I want to enforce them all. And you'd never have to see me if you don't break any of them. Unless you'd want to tune into TikTok or something. Even then it's a choice. You can scroll on by. Ryan Pinn, good morning. Long time no see. Ryan is a driving instructor in Nova Scotia who hangs out regularly during the show. Tommy C. endorses volunteering, saying that volunteering is great. I agree. I started as a volunteer within the service, and I did also. I used to volunteer for a suicide hotline, and that was a big deal. That was cool. It was very interesting being there all hours of the day and night to help people when they're in need. And then I transitioned.
I did the St. John Ambulance volunteer in the community for it's got to be 10 years, and it's lifelong skills that it's personal gratification for helping others, but it's also lifelong skills that have helped me into this job, right? Learning basic first aid, CPR, all those things, work in events. It's no matter what kind of volunteer work you do, it's really important, and it's fun times, so it helps everybody.
It's funny you say that. I often say that when I volunteered as an auxiliary officer, that I was doing it out of selfish reasons. I enjoyed it so much that I did it for me, not for the people I was helping. But I did enjoy it, and that's why I did it. Even though volunteering was helping everybody else, I was still motivated because I had fun. Okay, let's see here. Renew plates online. Yeah, we got that covered. And what is this? I don't know what that is. Oh, is it illegal to stand out of the sunroof of a moving vehicle? Well, can you wear your seatbelt when you're standing outside of the sunroof?
well, I guess you could around your legs.
Well, I don't think that's wearing it properly, and that's really what a lot of the debate was. Well, he could have been wearing a seatbelt while he was sticking his head out the window or his waist out the window. You have to wear a seatbelt properly in order to be following the rules and for it to protect you. Yeah. What is this? So we have here, if you sleep in your car and you have been drinking, even with no keys in the ignition, is that DUI? So it's an interesting, you've added some elements there. So if you're drunk and you get into your car and you don't have the ability, the ability to move that car is not there, you might not be in a situation. But if the keys are present, then you could be charged for impaired operation. It used to be something called care and control, and the wording has changed. It's no longer care and control, it's simply impaired operation.
It means the same thing, though. If
Yes.
you have the ability to put your vehicle in motion, just the ability, and you're in your vehicle, absolutely. you could be charged.
So you said the keys aren't there. So if the keys aren't there, where are they? And if you know where they are and it's under a rock beside the car, that's still, as far as I'm concerned, an ability. You're just having a choice. Temporarily, hiding things from us isn't making them unavailable to you. So really, if you need to take a nap, don't do it in your car. Go either take a cab, come back for your car another day. Problem is, if you sleep in your car and a couple hours later you wake up, go, I feel great. But you're not. You're still impaired. And then it's all part of that. Unfortunately, people who are impaired are not generally good decision makers, at least not at the time that they're impaired. They're impaired.
And there's so many good options out there to get yourself safely home.
Oh, yeah.
You know, whether it's taxi, Uber.
The Ubi.
Uber. Call a friend. There's countless options. So
There's even services now that will pick you up and they'll bring a second driver to take your car home and put it in your driveway so you don't mess up work the next day. A little more than a cab, I assume, but that's an option that cancels out the excuse of, but I need my car tomorrow.
as a matter of fact, I saw one of those in Mississauga the other day, and I Googled it because I was curious to what it was, and that's exactly what it was. And it's a small price to pay, but that's a price to pay for safety.
And Sean, I've used it a couple of times.
No kidding.
There's a couple of different services out there, and it was actually cheaper than taking a taxi for the distance we were going.
Right on.
And my car was at home.
Here's a question. Is it illegal to hold a camera out the window if you're wearing your seatbelt? So this is just simply holding your camera in your hand out the window. Is it illegal? Is that an insecure load? Is that some risk? I don't think there's a charge that would trigger. I certainly wouldn't have much of an issue with it. Now, if you drop a camera out the window, that's a problem. But if you just hold it there, I don't think it's a problem.
You know what? Think about what's traveling behind you. You know what? A cell phone coming flying out of a window when I'm cruising down on my motorcycle.
It's a problem.
Absolutely, that could really hurt.
But but in terms of simply the act of holding it, would that trigger an insecure load? Or would you say it doesn't qualify?
You know what? As a passenger, I would say you're
Good thing.
You're okay. But as a driver, oh yeah,
Yes,
that's what you're getting.
And you know what? I thank you for bringing that up. It depends on who you are and what you're doing, what position and responsibilities you hold. Because well, first of all, holding a cell phone as a camera is going to be distracted driving. But holding a camera that is a camera and not a cell phone, it could be careless driving. So that makes I'm glad we dissected this a little bit because there's more to talk about. So yeah, it really depends. Let's see here. I'm going to quote D. Stefan. I think it's Stefan. Maybe it's not. Is it Stefan or Stephen? Anyway, he's got a radio voice for a cop, or a great radio voice for a cop. Are there different cop quality voices out there? We're all on the radio all the time. Just some of us are using walkie-talkies.
You know what? I can guarantee you that he's talking about you and not me.
Okay.
Not me.
What is this? Does Toronto enforce the obstruction of view PC? I think maybe the PC may be asking me, but the enforcement, the obstruction of view, like a driver's view obstructed from the window, yes. If you can't see out the window or if your view is obstructed, that is a fine or a charge that may be enforced if you're driving around here. So tinted windshield, fuzzy dice, any of those things could be triggering a stop and a charge. Have you ever charged anyone for fuzzy dice?
I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. It used to be.
The fuzzy dice or the obstructing your view?
No, the fuzzy dice.
I have not seen
I
fuzzy
haven't
dice.
seen that since like the 90s.
90s, I was going to
Go
say.
say 70s.
Yeah. Let's say here. Can police see my driving record if they run my plate? Yes. So we have different ways of getting information, but absolutely your plate and your driving record are things that are reported to us, and a lot of that will or may motivate what happens in a traffic stop. If someone has never had a ticket in their entire driving career and this is the first time they were doing 10 over, maybe they're going to get a warning. Maybe this is the 7th time they've been stopped for 10 over. Maybe they're not getting a warning. It really depends, but yes, we can see that. What do we have here? I'm just going to check. And just in case you're not already aware, we are currently on Instagram, TikTok, we're on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We're everywhere that you are. What is this? Keys to Hosty? I don't know what this is. Breach Blocked says designated driver for you. I guess that's maybe a company that does stuff to get you home.
Yeah, there's a couple of them out there, Sean.
Different businesses.
Not that we want to promote one over the other.
No, I'm just reading.
I'm sure they're all pretty good.
I'm just decoding the acronym here of DD for you. Usman says, can a ticket in Ontario affect your Alberta driving record for a law that doesn't apply to Alberta? I don't know how Alberta will interpret. They'll see the charge because we share information. So when they run the plate and when you're convicted of something here, I believe this is a reciprocal agreement across Canada for all provinces. You'll see the conviction, and ultimately it's because you're not following the laws, regardless if it's the laws of your province or elsewhere. You're still responsible for following the laws in the province where you're driving, or in the States for that matter. And many U.S. states share information. So a conviction in the United States will also reflect here in Canada or Ontario. So yeah, at the end of the day, just follow the rules and know the rules. One of the reasons that we have so many people who are out of province that watch this channel is to find out what it is before they get here. You know, they're in Alberta, they're moving here, they're Montrealers, and they're coming in for the weekend. They want to know what the rules are, and that's something that is a great thing. Unfortunately, I don't think there's another service like this in other provinces. Well, there are, but I don't think they're traffic focused. But if you're in Brooks, Alberta, for instance, you can go to Safe Communities. They're a RCMP detachment in Brooks, Alberta. They answer a lot of traffic questions too because they have both RCMP officers and special constables who are either the sheriffs. I think they might be the sheriffs, and they do the traffic things there. So ask them, check them out. They go live a lot too. Okay, and tethers on cameras. Akila Draconis made a very good suggestion. If you were going to hold something out the window, make sure it's tethered so you don't lose your $5,000 camera and injure somebody else in the process. Not that I'm endorsing hanging things out the window, but if you were going to do something like that, make sure you take the adequate precautions. Okay, question about tandem towing. Tandem towing, when you have a truck and you're trailering something else and then something attached to that something. So the example is a camper with a boat behind it. In Ontario, that is not permitted. I don't know anywhere where it is.
Sean, it actually is.
Where?
In Ontario, depending on the class of the towing vehicle.
Has to be commercial.
And the type. No, it doesn't have to be.
No?
Just a weight limit. And the type of hitch connection that the first and the second one have.
Interesting. So
So,
I was
yep.
led astray. We have to put some corrections.
Actually, you were correct up until a couple of years ago when the law changed. So MTO website has that information there.
Okay, so I stand corrected. Things have changed, and now it's. Why would anyone want to do that?
Well, you know what? When you have a camper trailer and you want to bring your boat along with you as well, it is lawful to do that. Think about transport trucks or dump trucks that are on the highways. You know what? They may have two trailers behind them, a pup trailer and then a regular trailer.
So I was aware of the commercial. I knew there was a permission for those, but so the old rule was that no non-commercial vehicle can do it. That's very interesting. I got to go read up some new laws or some.
There you go. Yeah, no, I was actually schooled on that by my neighbor when he started doing it, and I said, "Oh, you can't do that." And he said, "Actually, it just changed."
Oh, wow.
So that was a couple of years ago.
I'm behind the times. Okay. Animals in the car while driving. You can have animals in the car. Now, they should be tethered or crated in the back seat. That would be the way to go for their safety and for yours. But they cannot be on your lap or interacting with the driver. They should be in the back seat for their safety and not dealing with you. If they are on your lap or they're sitting leaning on you, it could be drive while crowded or careless driving, depending on what's going on.
I just never understood why people feel the need to have their, little puppy on their lap hanging out the window while they're driving. Like, it makes no sense.
Well, because they don't want to put them in the back, and if they feel bad, the dog barks and they want to make the dog quiet or make the dog, rub their bellies or whatever. They feel bad.
It's not safe.
They'll
Definitely.
feel worse when you become involved in a collision and the airbag kills them.
Yes, well, that's the whole thing. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to kill the dog, and no one's going to be happy at the end of that exchange. You got to be the toughie. You got to be the mom. Is it the fur mom or fur dad?
Oh, jeez.
You know what? If you've got your dog in your lap, you're more likely to be involved in a collision as well. That's a distraction.
And the whole concept of tethering, it's not just to keep them from becoming a projectile within your vehicle, a fur bullet. There's more to it than that. You want to protect them. And even if they're fine in the collision, nothing happens to them, but you're stuck in the car, the window's broken. What if they jump out the window? Now they're in an active collision scene on a highway and they get run over. There's reasons to do the things we suggest doing, and that's one of them. What is this? What happens when you're turning right on red and some changes lanes in the intersection while it got cut off? So you want to make a right on red, someone makes a lane change within the intersection, and now you're in a weird situation. Well, they're legally permitted to make a change in the intersection. I grew up thinking it was illegal, but apparently it is legal. It's just not recommended because it's less safe. The person making the right turn, though, is obligated to make sure it's safe prior to making the lane change. That might require you to wait until there's nothing in the area. You can't predict what a driver is going to do. You may get great efforts, but you'll be ultimately responsible.
You know what? 100% of the onus is placed on the driver facing the red traffic signal. They can only make that movement when it is safe, no matter what anybody else is doing.
Absolutely. I've seen Peel police cruisers with bike rack that block the license plate. Is that allowed? Well, I've seen that with Toronto vehicles as well. Should you be able to obstruct a license plate? No one should be obstructing a license plate. Temporarily, is it something that happens when people transport bicycles? It does happen on occasion.
You know what, though? Still unlawful.
Still not lawful. And there's ways to change it so that it is lawful. For instance, relocating a license plate. You can relocate a license plate and add illumination to the back, which is required if you're going to drive at night. And we really want to recommend that people do not leave bicycle racks in their vehicle or attach to their vehicle when they're not transporting bicycles. Aside from the license plate location, it's just not a good idea to leave them there all the time.
You know what? Your car is designed to withstand a certain amount of force when being involved in a collision. If you add a bike rack to the back of it, it changes the location of where all that force is going, and you could severely damage your vehicle even more and cost you more money with it being in there.
Here's a question from Chastity Song. Says, what is the least severe penalty for driving with a phone in hand in Toronto? So it's distracted driving. There's one charge for it, and that is comes with victim fine surcharge out to $615, 3 demerit points, and a 3-day suspension on conviction. That's the minimum. That's the ticket price. Now, you could possibly go to court and have that reduced, but I don't see that very often.
And that's province-wide. That's not a Toronto thing?
Yes.
Anywhere in Ontario.
Yeah, and that's the first time you're convicted. Additional convictions go up, more money, more suspension time, and eventually, I believe I forgot what the third hit is. Is it from 7 days in the second, and then do you recall? I don't recall, but I know it escalates.
You don't want to get there.
It's not a goal. It's not a goal.
And certain insurance companies are treating distracted driving just as bad as impaired driving, and raising your rates or not insuring you at all.
Yeah, there's this thing called facility that you don't want to be a part of. Facilities, if nobody else will insure you, it's a fund from everybody else's insurance. All the insurance companies put into a fund, and then they charge you obscene amounts of money. But they will insure you. It's just you may not be able to afford to pay it. There's reasons. There's other motivations than just keeping your insurance low. It's being able to afford it at all. Do you know any weird laws in Louisiana? I do not know any laws in Louisiana, not just the weird ones. I'm not familiar with Louisiana law, but now I got to look some stuff up because I have some friends down there. I'm going to ask them.
I'm pretty
some
sure
questions.
every state, province, municipality has some obscure, funny charges.
Like sleigh
our
bells.
Ontario, right, I was going to say our Ontario Highway Traffic Act still has, failing to have sleigh bells on your sleigh or something like that. There's some peculiar ones that have just been there since the beginning of time. And
certain days you can't drag your dead horse down Yonge Street. Yeah. Are walkie-talkies the same penalties as phones? Yes, they're handheld communication devices, and yes, they can trigger the same offense. It's a handheld communication device, $615. Everything's the same. That's why there's an exemption under the Highway Traffic Act for police, fire, and ambulance operators to use their two-way radios, cell phones, or computers, because if not, they'd be breaking the law. What is this? Hang on a second. By the way, the world is not right at the moment in that we don't have access to the Q&A. I moved my picture around. We are forced to be in the chat, looking for chat. Normally we'd have these nice organized Q&A where we can just pick a question, throw it up on screen so you can see it. And it's not working. Ryan Pinn says, is there anything better than a good PB&J? I'm back to no carbs, and that's my favorite thing in the world. And I'm not having it. But thanks for rubbing it in, Ryan.
a morning coffee is better than PB&J.
I don't know. Maybe a morning coffee with PB&J. I do. And my kids have recently found out that PB&J is the best thing since sliced bread, at least on its own. And now I'm making them PB&J and then just not eating it. And it's really...
Actually, you know what one of my favorite things is deep fried pickles.
What?
Love it. With a little bit of ranch dressing. Oh, yeah. That's my PB&J.
Okay. Well, I'll never be competing with you to get your deep fried pickles.
You know what? Mine's banana and chocolate on toast.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
So a mushy banana with a little bit of hot chocolate sprinkled on top.
Emma says deep fried pickles are delish.
Thanks, Emma.
You guys can start a club. What is this? Oh, we have a proud American. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the PB&J pickle dispute. So do police have an exemption to use their laptops? Yes, it falls under the exemption to use the handheld communication device, entertainment device. That section is not enforceable for police. Now, obviously, we're not trying to play video games. We're not writing essays for school. We are focused on I want to say mission critical information, stuff that is important to what we're doing as part of our job. It's the reason there's an exemption. We have to speak to people about traffic safety or safety, officer safety, public safety, vital information that may or may not be available to be read over the air. There's various reasons why, but yes, we can use them.
If we're going to a call, or especially if it's a high priority call, the dispatchers will give us certain information, but that computer is there for us sometimes to look at the map, how to get to the location in a timely manner. There could be information on the suspect or the complainant and all kinds of things that we need to access prior to getting to that address. And that's the main reason for using the computer.
And there's not necessarily time once we get there to start reading a book. Sorry, go ahead, Sarge.
That being said, we are not exempt from careless driving. So even if a police officer, a firefighter, or an ambulance person in paramedic ambulance is operating and they're not doing it safely and they're not doing it with due care and attention, they could still face charges.
Absolutely. And ultimately, we're the most scrutinized people on the planet. If we cause a collision, we're going to be investigated and held to a higher standard. And everything's recorded, and
Yeah.
GPS is recorded, and every keystroke, there's no getting away from it. If we make a boo-boo, we're going to be held accountable. What is the maximum a tire can stick out from the wheel well? So it's not supposed to stick out at all. I don't think that there's any technically permissible exemption or measurement that's allowed. At the end of the day, it's got to be covered by the fender, and it's got to have a mud flap because you're not supposed to be blinding the people behind you with water. Anything you'd add on that, Serge?
Not only that, but there are times when it looks like wheels are sticking out the side of cars, and it creates a hazard for pedestrians. If you're stopped making a right-hand turn and there's pedestrians on the corner, what would happen if that wheel went by and caught one of them going through there?
Suck them into the wheel well?
That's exactly, or underneath the tire. So that's why fenders are there, to stop everything from flying out of it, but also things from getting in there.
What about when they change the camber on their tire there, Sean?
Camber, it depends. There's some minimal camber changes can be made safely, but there's a point when you're riding on an area of the tire, you've changed the contact patch of that tire, and now the vehicle is not handling the way it's intended. The tire is not being ridden on in a way that will prevent it from blowing out. You'll have unnecessary and very rapid wear. It's a bad day at the office. Those are tires that are likely going to blow out and ultimately run a higher risk of creating a collision or unsafe situation. So extreme camber, not permitted. Unsafe. I'd be taking that car out of circulation.
You know what? Extreme camber is only useful when you're doing drifting. And
Ooh, what is
unfortunately,
that?
drifting is not allowed private property or on the street.
Completely off topic, but Zed, is it Zippix, says morning coffee with donuts is their fave.
Donuts.
Ryan Pin says a lot of times camber is paired with a stretched tire. Another thing that is not legal because a stretched tire is not using a tire in the way it's supposed to. It's mismatching a tire and wheel size. It's unsafe. I don't know why. I don't understand the attraction to it. I mean, does it look cool? I don't even know if it looks cool.
I don't like it. You know
Me
what?
neither.
The tire bead and the edge of the tread should be lined up perfectly.
There's a
That's where
reason
they're-
tires are designed the way they are.
What is this? I am looking for, there's a question I saw and it's probably gone now. Don't these questions get boring and repetitive? No, because very often we talk about things and we may cover the same general topics every day, even the same questions, but we always bring new things to it. There's always more to unravel as we go down the rabbit hole. So they're never so except the tint. Tint is the only one. We got some videos about tint. We talk about tint all the time, but I think tint is the only one I laugh about. But at the end of the day, these are all great conversations, and different people are listening, and sometimes we go down different directions. And we've talked about the tandem towing before. Man, we're talking about it again now. I got a different answer because Sarge is here. So it's good to revisit things. We learn, and the repetition helps me remember Like I remember my name is Sean Shapiro and I'm a police constable. Like I wouldn't know if I didn't say it every day. What is this? Why is not black shade illegal when tinting is illegal? So your entertainer wants to know, and I will give you an answer, is a black shade is not regulated as part of the window. It's also not on the driver's windshield or the window left and right of the driver. Those are in the back, and those are illegal. If you add something to the window that prevents you from seeing in, that's illegal. You have to be able to, you can't prevent us from seeing into the vehicle. And there's various reasons why that's a law. But ultimately, you can't prevent yourself from seeing out of the window. Even by reducing the amount of light, it's making it less safe. So if someone decides to make their windows opaque or less than 30% light blockage, more than 30% light blockage, they're breaking the law regardless of how they're doing it. What else we got here? Someone's agreeing to disagree. Okay, I don't know what we're talking about. Why are modified exhausts illegal? They don't harm anyone. Well, I think if you ask the people who are trying to sleep as motorists who have modified exhausts race up and down the highway, they would disagree with that statement. You know, it's not just about you enjoying your car at that point. It's you contributing to the tremendous amount of noise already being created by a busy city, and you're just making it worse. I appreciate that some cars sound cool, and that's for 30 seconds. But as you race up the highway or even just rev up on your engine or start your car at 5 in the morning to get to work like I do, my neighbors would be out there with pitchforks if I was waking them up with a modified exhaust. Who else? Do you guys like?
I don't like them, and I can tell you, on my street, people going by with them, it's not very peaceful when you're trying to enjoy your family time or just time outside. It's
And you know what?
noisy.
There's no benefit to them. It doesn't benefit anything by having a big, loud, open exhaust. Cars are made to have back pressure in there. The engines are designed that way, and if you take away that back pressure, then you are going to be burning out valves and things like that. You know what? There's ways to modify it that is not super loud, that offers you better performance as well.
Back in the day, cutting your cats out or having a freer breathing exhaust system was really something that might have had a dramatic impact to your performance. But now with injection engines, it's different. It's not the same benefit. Now it's just about look at me. And,
Or listen to me.
Listen to me, yeah. Well, you listen and then you look and then you curse.
I can't imagine even driving in that for very long is comfortable either.
I ride a Honda. I got a Honda motorcycle, and it sounds like a blender. It's very quiet. I have a stereo. I can actually enjoy my music when I ride, and I will not ride behind a Harley. And forget even a modified Harley. Just riding behind a Harley is too noisy for me because I like to enjoy my music and the nature. But modified Harleys, I don't want to be anywhere near them. Now here's a great question, and I think we're gonna wrap things up because we're 1 minute away to 11, and we got things to do and people to see and whatnot. Noise. What is this? Why is drifting on my private property illegal? Anyone want to jump on that landmine?
You know what? They had to create a law to stop the takeover events that were happening in parking lots. Parking lots are private property owned by somebody or a corporation, and people would go in there and dangerously drive around in circles doing drifting in those parking lots. So the law was created to cover things like that because the actions you're doing are not safe. It even goes so far as saying you can't even do it on the beach because, you know what, it's open to other people coming in. So
above ground, below ground, parking lots, like they've gone through and listed everything under the sun.
That's right. And what they've done is just created all private property. It's unlawful, it's unsafe, except in certain circumstances where race events or permitted events have happened.
Race tracks, go-kart tracks, permitted events, India events, like something specifically outlined and permitted. Otherwise, there's no reason to do it. It's just not safe. It's not something that it's not even something that I can justify as part of driver education. Because you know when you train, and that was the first thing that I even thought. Well, what about learning how to recover from skids? You don't need to learn how to recover so much as you need to learn how to not lose control. It's the difference. Let's see here. We've got, what is this? Oh, what about on ice? Can you get done for stunt on ice? Then you start getting into intention. Are you losing control on ice because you lost control or because you've been actively working on creating a donut or a burnout or a spin? Stunting is stunting. Doesn't matter what the ground surface is. And should start this whole wind down process of saying goodbye. We'll be back on Wednesday. We won't be able to be on tomorrow. There won't be a live tomorrow, but we'll have other content. Maybe we're going to replay the recruiting video. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have episode 6 replay tomorrow, and that's all about recruiting. So if you're interested in becoming a police officer, join us on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. Watch that episode with our friends from the Talent Acquisition Unit. They'll be answering all the questions about, well, becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service. We talked for an hour. It was great, and you can enjoy it for the first time or a second time tomorrow. Anything to add, Sergeants?
No, have a great day, everybody. Drive safe out there.
You've got to love the music, Sean.
I really like this track, and it's royalty free.
Fantastic.
I like it even more because of that. And 905 Metalhead wants to know, how was Disney? Disney was awesome. I'm still Disney tired, though. Awesome. Have a great day. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Bye, everybody.
Ciao for now.
Bye.